Well, more can sit down.
Who do you want to talk about, Mr. Perry or Mrs.
Okay? I can hear you all. Good evening. The meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, Mr. Gorski?
Certainly. Mrs. Arminio.
Here.
Mr. Braverman. Mr. Chiarella.
Here. He's back there.
Let it be noted Mr. Braverman is present. Mrs. DeMayo.
Here.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Here.
Mrs. Lang.
Here.
Mrs. Carino.
Here.
Mr. Ryback. Mr. Russo. Mr. Rutsky.
Here.
Madam Board President, you have a quorum present this evening.
Thank you.
In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted February 16th, 2018 at all schools, the Home News Tribune, the Cranberry Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you, Mr. Gorski. At this time, we will have a moment of silence for Om Parikh, one of our 8th grade students who recently passed away after a long illness, and for the 17 students who lost their lives in Parkland, Florida last week. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to go off the agenda for a few minutes. We have some visitors here tonight. As I hope you all know, the safety of all of our students is the utmost importance to all of us, and you cannot put a price on safety of our students. In phone conversations that I had with the mayor today, he asked to be at our meeting this evening. He has an announcement to make regarding school security. So with us this evening is Mayor Tambora, Mr. Alan Weinberg, our Township Business Administrator, Councilwoman Marion Cohen, and Councilman Charles DePiero. Thank you for being with us today. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. As you said, you and I have spoken, I guess, back and forth several times today, and I want to thank you and the board for asking us to come here or giving us the opportunity to speak. I guess we were all moved by the tragedy in Florida, and when we look at these young kids over here, that's the most precious things that we have are these children. The father of 6, the grandfather of 9, it's even more important in my family. And if you come into my office, the only thing that's on the credenza behind me is a picture of the family. And these kids and the kids in all our schools are the treasures that we have to protect. Following the event down in Florida, spoke with our chief, and we increased our patrols throughout the day after the tragedy in Florida, just to make sure if there was any occurrence here, we had foot soldiers out there to deter anything that might occur. The Monroe Police, as we know, is the finest in the state. Our chief is the president of the Police Chiefs Association for Middlesex County. And we can talk about all the safety issues accolades that we get. But still, this is something that you never know where or when it's going to happen. And as I said to the chief the day after the tragedy, being proactive is better than saying, I'm sorry. So what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is being proactive. I know the school board has been working very hard to come up with a safety enhancement to all the schools, and I applaud you for that effort. And we know also, as you and I had spoken, it's going to take a couple months to put that fully in place. We're a great community. We must all work together, and I think we have worked together. And there's nothing more important, as I said, than our children. I'm pleased to announce that by the end of next week, we will have armed off-duty policemen, Monroe Township policemen, stationed in each of the 8 schools. We will pick up the cost of that. It's so important that we have that protection in our schools now. And when you get the opportunity to have your security people and give them the opportunity to carry weapons, then we will phase out, but we will still be there to help the schools. I know it's a difficult time for all of us, but Monroe is a wonderful community, and we have great people. We will get through this challenge by working together. And I would like to ask our chief just to say a few words. And it's important to understand that this is going to put an impact on his workforce, but it's worth every dollar that we spend and every hour that these men put into it. Thank you.
Chief Lloyd, I'm sorry I didn't introduce you. You were kind of hiding behind me, and I didn't see you. I apologize.
Thank you. Good evening. To second what the mayor said, our staff is second to none. We are well-trained. We have a motivated group, and I'm sure that all the men and women of the police department are going to step up to the plate. Although this is an extra assignment to what their normal duties are, without a doubt, they're going to step up, accept extra assignments, and provide security for the students, the young men and women of Monroe Township. We have a great relationship with the school board, with the executive board, the administration, and in particular, we work well with Pete Pyro, head of security, one of our retired detective sergeants, and all his staff. So this is just going to foster the relationship that we have with the school board, with the school security, and better, our relationship and provide the utmost security for the children of Monroe Township the best that we can. As the training gets completed, like the mayor said, we'll phase ourselves out, but we won't be gone. On a daily basis, we patrol the parking lots of the schools. We make random checks at the interior of the schools. We work in conjunction with the school staff regarding training, school awareness, so that will never go away. But between now and the point where the staff is fully trained and everything's put in place, we're going to be the stopgap in between, and we'll fill the void until that point where the school board's ready to accept that, or the school staff, and then we'll step aside and we'll get back to our secondary duties and still foster that relationship. So I thank you for this opportunity. I'm sure the men and women of the Monroe Police Department will step up to the plate, and you will all hopefully sleep better at night.
Thank you. On behalf of the Board of Education, on behalf of the board and the community, we thank you for arranging this, because we know we had a security and safety meeting last night where we heard from hundreds of people in the community, and to get this accomplished so quickly is very nice of you.
Yes.
So we appreciate that very
Full
much.
disclosure, this was a collaborative effort today between my administration, your administration, the police department. It went on all day. Dr. Kozak worked tirelessly today, along with his security staff, from last night's meeting to get to where we are today. So within the 8 business hours of this morning, or 9 business hours, we had this plan pretty much sealed and ready to go. So it was a great working relationship today to get to something, something this grand a scale. Everyone should be proud of themselves, man.
Thank you. And it's another example of shared services between the Board of Education and the township, which we so much appreciate what you do for us, and thank you again. And at this time, I would like to reach out to the MTEA president, Beth Ann Osberg. And if when you have a time, you can contact me at your earliest convenience so that we can work together to make sure that our employees get the training and the necessary training that they need in order for us to accept the in-house, so that we can get everything accomplished in-house instead of using outside services. So I look forward to working with you to accomplish that.
I look forward to working with you as well.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you again for being here. So at this time, we will go to the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education organizational meeting of January 3rd, 2018. I need a motion
So
and a
moved.
second. Moved by Mr. Chiarella,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Rutsky. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals? None. The approval of the minutes for the closed session meeting of January 3rd.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella,
I'll second.
Mr. Rutsky. Again, any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So no abstentions or recusals. Okay, then we will go to the approval of the minutes for the Public Board of Education meeting of January 24th, 2018.
So moved. Not used to these new microphones.
Yeah, I know, I think we all are going to have to. So Mr. Chiarella moved it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Rutsky seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, and the closed session meeting of January 24th, 2018.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella and
Second.
Mr. Rutsky. Again, any comments or questions? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions or recusals? Okay, then all the minutes have passed for this evening. And we will have at this time, a presentation by Woodland School. Dr. Alvick, would you like to introduce them?
Absolutely. So a continuation of our Pride presentations and the great things that our students and our teachers are doing in our schools. Woodland School is celebrating African American Month, and they've done a nonfiction unit, including an iMovie and writing their own scripts and timelines. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. North and Mrs. Brunati to share the work of their students.
We're having a student introduce the whole project here.
Good evening, Monroe Township community. Tonight, our class, the Woodland School 5th grade students of Mrs. North and Mrs. Bernardi, is excited to take you back in time to learn about the progression of the African American history in the United States.
This project was part of our nonfiction unit study in Reader's Workshop.
First, the students in our class were separated into study groups. Each group was assigned its own nonfiction book that related to a time period of African American history. In my opinion, these events were interesting and shocking.
Our books were African Americans in the 13 Colonies by Michael Bergen. Our book was Escape from Slavery by Doreen Rappaport. Our book was What Was the Underground Railroad by Yona Zelda McDonough. Our book was Slavery in the United States by Allison C. Kimball. Our book was Civil Rights Movement by Lincoln Collins. Our book was The World Martial Law by Catherine Hughes.
Then we read. Every other day, we learned a new nonfiction skill and applied it to our book. When we finished our book, each group created its own timeline to portray the important events described within it. I personally think the 3 biggest events in my book that I read, the March on Washington, were the actual march, JFK's presidency, and Lyndon B. Johnson getting the Civil Rights Bill passed.
Then each group chose one event to turn into a film. We wrote skits and practiced acting them out. I had a great time writing the lines myself.
That's when we got the green screen. Our groups chose a background, and then Mrs. North and Mrs. Brunati recorded us. Mr. Lehman and Mr. Tagg helped too. The green screen made me feel like I was a real reporter.
Finally, our project was completed. Please sit back and enjoy our video.
Three healthy slaves for sale.
I hope we don't get separated. I know that we'll never see each other again.
I'll take those 3 slaves.
That'll be $1,000.
I can't believe the planters took us to South Carolina. Yeah, I'm surprised we survived that ship ride.
It looks like there are more of us here than there are colonists.
Why don't we listen to British and try to escape? But even if we were free, New York passed that law where we can't own property.
There was a slave named Munda in Massachusetts, and he won a court case stating that there wasn't slavery allowed there anymore.
We should escape to Massachusetts. During the years of slavery, mothers, children, and siblings were separated from their families. They are treated cruelly and put to work.
If slaves refused to work, then they would get whipped or possibly killed.
Hi, I'm Henry Brown. I'm being shipped to Philadelphia to escape from slavery. I only have 3 biscuits and a bottle of water.
Henry Brown was a slave that escaped slavery. He shipped himself to Philadelphia to escape. It took him 27 hours and 350 miles to get to freedom.
Hi, I'm James Smith, and I'm the one that put Henry in his box. I also put him on the ship. I tried to do it again, but I got imprisoned.
Hello. Some people call me Moses, but you know me as Harriet Tubman. I was born a slave, but I died a free woman. I left 300 people up north and to freedom.
I followed Harriet Tubman because I was tired of being beaten and whipped every day.
I followed Harriet Tubman because I wanted to be free and I miss my family.
I followed Harriet Tubman because work was 18 hours a day on the plantation and there was no bed for me. Follow me to freedom.
I'm Abraham Lincoln, and it's 1863. I'm issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, so all persons that held as slaves within any state should be forever free.
Yes, yes, we are free. We are free from back-breaking labor. We are free from cruelty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a miracle. We're free. No more getting whipped. No more picking tobacco. No more cleaning the master's mansion. I'm free. I'm free.
Hi, I'm Ruby Bridges. Is this William Franz Public School?
You're not supposed to be here. You're an African American. I'm getting the cops.
I'm still going to this school.
I'm reporting live from William Franz Public School, where an African-American girl, Ruby Burgess, is trying to enter a Caucasian school. By law, it's not allowed in Little Rock, Arkansas. As a result, Ruby Burgess' parents fought with the court and they won. That paved the way for other African-Americans to fight for their rights.
I am happy to join with you in what will be going down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Jim Crow must go! Jim Crow must go! Jim Crow!
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation that they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
In conclusion, the March on Washington was a historical event that led to JFK's bill being passed, which forever impacted the lives of everyone in the USA today.
Come to the front and take a bow. Yeah. And again, I'd like to thank the MTEA and their staff for showcasing another wonderful program that we offer our students, and especially showcasing our students. Thank you again. Okay, at this time, we have the Educational Support Staff of the Year presentations. Dr. Kozak, Dr. Alvik, and Mr. Gorski. Yes. Would you join me at the table?
Yes, this is causing a lot of, it's just big. It's just, I mean, it's taped down. It's not like, but it's just you. It's just you. It's just me. I have a walking problem.
So good evening, everyone. It's a tough act to follow the students. They did such a terrific job. But I'm going to try my best, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to recognize some of our staff members who work throughout the district. And as I know that I have said, and Dr. Alvik, I'm sure Mr. Gorski and Mrs. Kalapanovich, you know, what makes Monroe Township School District a great district is really the staff that are involved in the school district. And we consider everyone that works in the district, no matter what their position, to contribute to the education of our children in some manner or another, or to contribute to just making this a great learning environment for our students and our staff and for our community. So I'm very proud to announce the following individuals, and I'm going to ask that I'm going to call up each person individually, and if you would come up and accept a plaque on behalf of our Board of Education, and certainly, you know, a little symbol of our appreciation for the hard work that you do every day throughout the year. So I'd like to start with Maria Felice, who is a paraprofessional at Oak Tree School. Next, we have Brian Barry, one of our security officers, Mill Lake School. Next, Susan Mazer, Secretary. Next, we have Robert Nakash from one of our mechanics. Robert isn't here, so we would like to next honor Francine Wilden, a paraprofessional at Brookside. Next, we have William McLaughlin, our lead custodian at Applegarth. Next, we have Nikki Park, a paraprofessional at Barclay Brook. Would John Painter please come down, our security officer from Woodland School? Next, we have Darlene Rossano, a paraprofessional at our high school. And last but certainly not least, we have Edward Makowicz, lead custodian at our middle school.
Again, I'd like to congratulate all the educational support staff of the year. As Dr. Kozak said, every one of our employees has a piece to Monroe Township School District, and without any one of them, if we didn't have every one of them, we wouldn't be as great as we are. So we thank you for everything that you do to keep our schools running safe, sound, and secure, and for what you do for our children every day. Thank you. So normally we would go to the student board members' reports, but they are not here this evening. So we will go to committee reports. Are there any committees that need to report this evening? Mr. Mayo?
We had a curriculum, can you hear me?
A little closer.
A little closer. This is creepy.
You have to speak.
We had a curriculum meeting tonight. We reviewed 7 things. We started off reviewing the new 6th grade math curriculum. You can look for it online if anybody's interested. We also reviewed a club, the Mu Alpha Theta Math Honor Society Club. This is an honor society club that has certain requirements in order to be admitted. Students must have an 80 or higher for an honors or AP mathematics class, and an 88 or higher for a regular mathematics class. Members must have completed at least 2 years of college preparatory math, Algebra 1 or geometry, and must be actively enrolled in a 3rd year of mathematics. Additionally, they must also need to be actively participating in another math club, such as mathletics, the academic team, chess club, math competition, or math tutoring within the school. So if anybody's interested in that, we are starting that. We also talked about the summer music program. Currently, we have a summer band program that's offered to elementary schools and middle school students. We are now adding a summer chorus program in the summer. It'll be meeting for 3 hours. And where's my, there we go. And that will be 1 session from August 6th to August 10th. And it will be $50 for a week-long session. So if anybody's interested in that. And the time is from 8:45 to 12 noon. We have also partnershiped with the Monroe Historical Commission to do a student essay writing contest for 10th and 11th grade students. This will be rolled out in 8 weeks, and there are 4 topics that students can pick from. So students who are interested in history and writing should look out for this to be presented to them. We also reviewed the 8th grade algebra criteria for getting into 8th grade algebra. And that has been tweaked a little bit. If anybody's interested in getting their children into 8th grade algebra, they must have a score of 75% or better on the district algebra readiness assessment, a final grade of 90 or better in 7th grade math, a score of 72% or better in the middle school computational skills assessment, and a grade 7 winter or spring map test of 235 or higher. We also reviewed the Seal of Biliteracy, which we have had in place for 2 years. The Seal of Biliteracy is a program that began in California in 2008. New Jersey signed the seal into law in 2016. The seal recognizes fluency in English and a second language. We had where's my notes?
36.
What?
36.
36. We had 36. 36?
31 students took the seal,
Okay.
and then 5 took the AP.
Yes. Okay, so we had 36 in 2018 earn the Seal of Biliteracy, and in such languages German, Hindi, French, Italian, and Spanish. And there are other languages that students can learn in it, such as Latin and American Sign Language. And that's that. We also talked about what Monroe is doing for non-college bound students. We have a senior option where students can go out in the workforce and gain experience. We have a comprehensive trade skill program where if kids are interested in construction, cabinet making, or, what was the other one? Welding? Welding. The construction, the students have been commissioned to build sheds throughout the district, and they also created a peace bench which commemorated the Holocaust. And we also, I wanted Dory to give an update on the homework policy and where that has been going.
Okay. So since the last meeting in January, we did send out surveys to all parents, students in grades 4 and higher, all staff, and we've received to date, the survey is currently closed, but we received almost 1,100 responses from parents, which is wonderful. And please know that if you took the time to write in a comment at the end, I took the time to read your comments. We're going to take this information back to the committee. Another part of the committee is also working on research. So they are researching homework practices, how it helps our students, how it hurts our students, and they're going to bring that information back to the whole committee and share that information. We're also reviewing policies from other districts and taking a look at what other districts might be doing, and then we will be making a presentation to the Board of Education through the Curriculum Committee and the Policy Committee if there are any changes to be recommended for the homework policy. So the hope is to bring that to the board in May. So it is an ongoing process, but we are in the process of looking at all of that data.
Thank you. Any other committees?
Before we leave that one, Madam President, because it's going to eventually be to the policy committee, I'd like to be included in the meeting, in the curriculum meeting that reviews all of the end result before it comes to the policy committee. Since you're reviewing other policies from other Board of Eds and districts, I'd like to be included in that meeting.
That would create a quorum, and
Unless I bow out of the curriculum meeting and Michelle takes my spot.
well, that could happen, but to
Okay,
add
well,
her,
we'll coordinate
we'll
that,
have
but
to,
I'd like to be
yes.
considered, so I have a heads up on what the other policies, what the other reviews have
For the
brought
homework
forward.
policy.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Chiarella?
Yes, thank you. On February 15th, we had a Buildings, Grounds, and Transportation meeting. We reviewed 5 items. So the first was a potential solar project. We had been looking at putting solar panels on several of our schools in the district. And we were just doing a study to look at whether or not there were grants available, whether or not it was cost prohibitive or cost effective to do that, what the return on investment would be, and those kind of things. And a determination was made at our meeting to not move forward at this time because of the falling value of the SRACs. That's the money, the compensation that we would get for having the solar panels on our roof and selling that electricity back. So that the rates for those have fallen because oil prices have fallen and those kind of things. So that's one major reason for us not to do that. The other one is that the federal and state grants that were once available are no longer available. They've dried up. So we're going to keep monitoring the situation. If the SRAC values increase and if grants are available again, then we'll look at that. Number 2 was the wireless microphone frequency changes. So that's been a federal change that's going on where there's been more and more a need for broadband for cell phones. And I'm not an expert on this, but I'm going to wing it. Basically, the federal government's mandating that we give up the 600 megahertz band in order to allow the cell phone companies to have that, or whatever that is, whatever that thing is, the megahertz, right? Yeah. But the issue is that we will need to upgrade in order to have communications within our building. So I could tell you that we just had a negotiations meeting last week where none of us had cell coverage in this building, and which could potentially be dangerous. So eventually, we have until 2020, July of 2020, when those regulations kick in, to decide what we're going to do. But we need to decide by then, and the cost is probably going to be about $25,000 to $35,000, somewhere in there to make that change. But that change will cause us to be able to move our radios to a different bandwidth or different frequency, so that our security personnel, our teachers, our administration could communicate with each other in the event of emergency, those kind of things. So it's an important thing, even if I botched it up somehow. But fuel pumps and gas buoy management. So we have to replace our fuel pumps. Our fuel pumps at the garage are broken. And while we were looking at replacing those, we also realized that the administration informed us that the gas buoy was broken. So what the gas buoy is it's a computer that monitors who's getting gas, who's withdrawing gas from the tank, so that we don't have people stealing gas and doing those kind of things, so that we could better monitor, we could maintain efficiency and those kind of things. Those things are broken, so our committee has agreed to replace those. So the amount, and that should be in our agenda tonight. The amount for that is $38,000, right, for fuel pumps and gas buoy. And then the number 4 was Barclay Brook School Paving Project closeout. So Jerry Tague and Mike Gorski, we had some issues with the paving at Barclay Brook. There was nothing wrong with the paving itself. It's just that we didn't get everything that we paid for as far as the stone layers, the tar layer, those kind of things, where they had promised us in our contract a certain amount. We didn't get that. Jerry went out there and measured it, which I guess is a good thing, and was able to get $60,000 back from that vendor. So that's what we were reporting on tonight about that. And then the buildings, grounds, and maintenance care. So that went out to bid, and the lowest responsible bidder was Pleasant View Landscaping in the amount of $64,000. So we moved to accept that and push it to the full board. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Ken,
Yes.
so since we didn't get what was required from the contractor and we got less, does that mean that our paving project's going to degrade quicker?
No. And that's a good question. That's a question that we asked at the meeting. So, no, it just means that there were certain things like compaction and things like that were supposed to happen that they didn't do. And the reason that they didn't do some of those things is because the ground in that area has been compacted already anyway. So when they removed the tar that was there, and if you remember, it was broken up and a mess, but when they removed that, it was already compacted from having buses drive over it all these years. So they didn't need to do that. They needed to scrape it up and do all that stuff. So they were able to put the tar over it, but that lessened what we were supposed to get, and it made it smaller. So that's not going to hurt us. It's not going to settle or anything because it's already settled. But they also didn't give us everything that they said they were going to give us in the contract, so they owe us money, and that's what happened here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other reports? Ms. Arminio?
Okay, at the last meeting, we mentioned that we were going to have a discussion of marijuana issue and how the board is going to respond to the use of marijuana. Certainly, it hasn't, happened in New Jersey yet, so we are still talking about it. We had no resolve for that at that meeting, so that is going to be the subject until we come to a decision. We asked the superintendent to please have some counselors give us some information about marijuana use, and so we're going to gather all that and have a discussion. We don't want to make decisions without hearing from the professionals and what it does to our children. So that's an ongoing discussion. We also had a discussion about employee outside activity, again, ongoing, so you won't see anything new as a new first reading for any of the policies, because we are taking our time to review these properly. But in your current agenda on 13-18, so page 13 on O, that instead of a second and final reading, we're going to ask to remove not just 7440 school district security, because in light of our new circumstances, we're going to revisit that again rather than have it as a second reading and a final reading. So we're going to open that again. And the electronic surveillance, I think we should probably put that in along with it. So for the public, if you want to read the current policies that Monroe has, and I think that was part of our discussion last night, those two policies, again, are 7440, you can find on the internet at our website, and 7441. We will be having, again, in light of current things that are going on in our country, we are going to have a special meeting on March 6th for the policy committee to review just these types of policies. So that means the policy committee will meet twice in March, but the first time will be on March 6th. We want to expedite all the security issues and keep these things moving. We're glad for what the mayor said in the interim, but we have to move forward with our security concerns. So we'll have a special meeting just about security on March 6th. The public is invited. It's a public meeting. However, the public cannot speak at that meeting, and we are in a very small, and I didn't really discuss this with anybody, I hope it's okay. We are in a very small meeting room at the board office, so if people think they would like to attend, perhaps they can email myself, Michelle Arminio, or Kathy Kalpanowitz, or the superintendent. So if we need a bigger venue, if we need a bigger room, we'll accommodate people. But again, it's a public meeting where you can listen to the committee discussing these issues, but there is no public forum because it's not, we don't have a quorum. It's not the whole board. But that will be the discussion item on March 6th.
Okay,
Thank you. So are we removing those, Mr. Gorski? We could remove those for tonight, those two.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr.
I guess that
Retzky.
leaves Finance Committee. So the Finance Committee met last Tuesday, the 13th, and we basically discussed the upcoming budget. So as far as an update on that is concerned, we started with an update just talking about anticipated revenues, matching appropriations, meaning that the budget is tentatively at cap, subject to state aid release, confirmation on Jamesburg's tuition numbers, and the refinement of appropriation estimates. There is included in the revenue for this year's budget is $600,000 of the retained earnings that we transferred from Falcon Care ECE. There's additional tax revenue commensurate with the board's budget philosophy and utilization of some capital reserve to fund the budget priorities and the emergent need to replace a boiler and an HVAC system at Brookside School, which seems to perpetually give us problems. Every time we fix it, another part breaks. There are some big ticket items that we have to budget for in the upcoming school year, including trailers, approximately 30 additional staff members, 9 buses, 1 van, new textbooks and supplies, an approximate 7% increase in special education spending. Some good news coming from the town is that we looked at a comparative schedule of ratables for Monroe, and it looks like there's a 1.9% growth in ratables compared to last year, which will once again help suppress the tax increase. That was good last year, and it's once again good again and helpful this year. An area that we hope to become slightly better news is healthcare insurance costs. At first glance, Horizon is looking to raise our premiums with a 10% increase, and Mr. Gorski believes he will be able to negotiate that down to a lower number, which we hope to know before we finalize the budget. We're looking more in the 7 to 8% range as a median versus the 10 that they initially came to us with. Regarding us finding out about our state aid, everything's been delayed 2 weeks out of the governor's office. The new governor is getting an extension of 2 weeks. So what was supposed to be the governor's budget address on Tuesday the 27th has now been pushed off to Tuesday, March 13th. And if I'm correct, I believe we should find out our aid amount on Thursday the 15th. So we look forward to that, obviously, with bated breath. And there is just at this point in time, The district has gone into a non-essential spending freeze, which means only emergency equipment or supplies can be ordered. Everything else is sort of put on hold for the time being until we can figure out and finalize this year's budget. That concludes my finance report.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then I just have a very short report, Personnel Committee, from Mr. Ryback, who was not able to be here this evening. And he said, we updated the job descriptions for mail carrier, maintenance mechanic, head custodian, and custodian. Each description clearly states the title, qualifications, who the employee reports to, job goal, performance responsibilities, physical requirements, terms of employment, and evaluation information. So that concludes the Personnel Committee. So if there's no other committee reports, we will go to public forum for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak to the agenda, please come to the microphone, give your name and address for the record. And so that we can get through the business of the meeting, we're going to ask that you just speak on regard to the agenda items only. If we go in another direction on something that is not on the agenda, I'm going to ask that you hold your comments until the second public forum. So I know that things sort of like the referendum, not on the agenda, the contract for teachers is not on the agenda, and there are other things that I'm sure that you might come up with that are not on the agenda. I will ask you to please hold those comments to the second public forum. So anyone who has an agenda item only, please come, state your name and your name and address for the record, and we will have our 4-minute time limit.
Good evening. Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. This is in regards to the agenda item of Mr. Ventrilo's retirement. I just want to congratulate Mr. Ventrilo on retiring from our district. I'd like to say a very special thank you to him. It was a pleasure being the PTA president at Oak Tree, starting from the ground up for 6 years with Mr. Ventrilo. He absolutely did everything in the best interest of the students and to make their time at Oak Tree and then at Applegarth pleasurable. So thank you. Also, Dr. Kozak, I would like to thank you for leading our district at this very serious time. Your leadership and dedication to Monroe shines through with what we just saw from our mayor this evening. You moved quickly Thursday night to communicate with parents, and it is greatly appreciated. That you led the safety meeting last night was absolutely wonderful, that parents had the opportunity to come out, ask their questions, and voice their concerns. This is the type of leadership that we need in Monroe. You asked for 24 hours last night to put some stuff into motion, and I think it's a testament to your dedication here that this evening the mayor came, and now we're going to have off-duty officers in our schools. Last month, we saw in Dr. Kozak's presentation outlining the board goals and how they were met. This is a testament of Dr. Kozak's commitment to our district. We need the board to do the right thing and renew Dr. Kozak's contract. We do not need any more distractions in our district. We need to move forward and not let personal feelings interfere with making decisions that affect thousands of our children. Additionally, we need this board to continue to make our district safer. There are a lot of suggestions last night that should not be overlooked. Thank you, Ms. Arminio, for having that special meeting coming up on March 6th to discuss them. Lastly, we need to support our teachers with a fair contract.
Excuse me, Ms. Skirby, that is not on the agenda. As I said, the teacher's contract is not on the agenda. Please hold those comments to the second.
Okay, well, we need to support our teachers with a fair contract.
I'm asking you to please hold your comments to the second public forum. If
That's
it's
fine.
not on the agenda.
That's fine. We need to show them some respect here, and we need to support them. That's all.
What I have passed, my name
May
is...
your name and address for the record?
Yes. Krishna Dekale from 11 Jake Place. What I have passed around is a petition that I've put together supporting our superintendent, Dr. Kozak. I want that petition to be placed on the record, and to be honest, I'm very pleased with his leadership of this school town of the. And I'm also very thankful for Dr. Kozak having to reach out to all the parents the day the unfortunate incidents happened in Florida and told them that the school is evaluating any threat seriously and gave us the comfort that we could send our children to school. I want to place that on record for this meeting. And I have a other thing that I wanted to bring up. The elementary schools that on this side of the town, the roofs are leaking. Are they on the agenda?
Is that on the agenda?
It's related to education. It should be on the agenda.
No, it is not. It's not on the agenda, so. If you can hold those comments to the second public forum.
Okay, I want to say that the bathrooms are leaking, the roof is leaking, and it is the safety and the security of the children. I don't know how you decide which one is agenda and which one is not, but that should be on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prakash Parab, 33 Data Drive. Thank you very much for yesterday's meeting. We got a lot of input. Thank you very much. But one thing I have like to ask is transparency, okay? I saw the letter from the school today, but want to have still there are people in doubts. The transparency, hypothetical, okay? If the student threatens to kill or extremely harm the students in the school, if some student says he's threatening to kill or extremely harm the student, will the school district, without publishing the name, alert students? Don't publish the name of the student. Will you alert the students and parents what actions you are taking against that student in question and justify your children are safe? So that gives our children a confidence to be in the classroom, walk, because they don't want to be scared. Oh, that guy is coming, let me go this way. We don't want children to be scared. So are we going to be transparent?
Dr. Kozak?
Absolutely. We are very interested in being transparent. To that end, on Thursday in particular, there was at least one, if not more, situations that we investigated through midnight, Thursday night, and we relied on the police department, we relied on our director of security, we relied on our administrators to investigate everything thoroughly. One thing that we have to be careful of, there are students who may have been falsely accused as well. And so it's something that we're always very careful about. But when I get reports back from the police, our police, whom we trust, and they tell us that there was no evidence of any kind of threat, that there is no evidence of any other kind of situation that would put our students in danger, then I have to trust our security and I trust our police department that that is the truth. Should there be a situation where our students are put in danger, I will give you my word that we will respond effectively, quickly, efficiently, and we will not tolerate that kind of a threat. That student will be removed, our police will be involved in the entire process, and we will not allow our students nor our staff to ever be put in danger. So I know there was a lot of information out there. We looked, as the police, we had our, our recap meeting, the debriefing the next day. There were hundreds of leads that they investigated. If I felt that any of our students or staff were in danger, we would have taken steps, whether it have been to remove students, or close the school, or do whatever we would need to do, but we would not allow anybody to be harmed.
Thank you very much. Another one request is Dr. Kozak, for your leadership, we request BOE, because it's going to be in closed session, to please consider for his extension. Because of him, teachers and everyone, our school today, I came to know, is 49th, ranked 49th in New Jersey and second best in Middlesex. So our teachers deserve a praise, and Dr. Kozak, wish you all the best. And we don't want to lose any teachers to other schools. We want our teachers to be well paid. They are working, making sure our schools are the best. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anthony Prezioso, 8 Equestrian Way. I want to piggyback on this young man. We have 600 signatures for Dr. Kozak to stay, and I have 100 personal signatures that I've gotten on my own in 2 days to stay. I also have 6 former board members that made statements, and I'm going to read them. As a former board member, I have always found Dr. Kozak to be courteous and open to suggestions. He has demonstrated to me that he cares about our school and the children. That's just part of it. I'm reading just a little bit of each one. As a former board member, I have found Dr. Kozak a true experienced superintendent who cares about all our students, teachers, and residents. As a former board member, I have had the pleasure of working with Dr. Kozak. I have found him to be truly energizing force in our district. As a former board member, since Dr. Kozak came to our district, he has handled rising student enrollment and still managed to raise test scores. He is also an advocate against the nepotism and cronyism that has plagued teachers and students from the past administration. And the teachers know what I'm talking about. As a former board member, I have found Dr. Kozak more than capable of handling any problem that comes with the large growing district. Dr. Kozak, I hope you reconsider, and I hope this board reconsiders, because there's 700 people that signed this in less than 2 weeks. Thank you. And one other thing, I want to thank the teachers for giving my son a second chance at life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Betty Saborito, 2 Barrymore Drive. I wanted to come up and commend Officer Brian Barry, who just received the Educational Support Staff Award. Mr. Barry is a security officer at Mill Lake, and I know that my children are in great hands with him, and that he cares so much for our children, and he is very protective of them. He is an incredible asset to this district and does all possible to keep our children safe, together with our principal, Kristen McNolly, and our front office staff, Denise Jimenez and Christine Bricks. So thank you, Officer Barry. It is curious that we just witnessed recognition of support staff in the district, and yet they are currently working without a contract. And I know that's not on the agenda, but the support staff was. I understand that you're not able to discuss specifics, but we are asking yet again that you settle on this contract. Meeting after meeting, the public has come up to speak in support of our teachers and staff, and nothing is being resolved. I cannot speak highly enough about our amazing teachers. I have spoken before on this, and I will continue to speak until we settle on this, because I believe it's worth repeating. I have twins in the district in the 1st grade, one
Could
of
you
which is a
please hold your
special.
comments about the teacher contract to the second public forum like I've asked the other?
We've already discussed security,
We've discussed security. The teacher's contract is not on the agenda.
That wasn't on the agenda. We've discussed Dr. Kozak, that's not on the agenda.
Dr. Kozak is on the agenda.
Okay. Then the only other thing I want to say is, not all of you, some of you, Board of Education members, you're elected by the public. Administrators, you're paid by the taxpayers. If you could look a little less annoyed when the public comes up here and actually pay attention, we would appreciate it.
Raghu Chituri, 23 Green Street. Today, I came to see about the report about the school ranking. As somebody pointed out, it came out at 49th in New Jersey. The reason for that, I would attribute it to the teachers. Thank you all the teachers who helped this school district to get the rank. And also, I want to thank Dr. Kozak for his programs, for his guidance, and for his various programs that he has implemented. Maybe those are the ones that help the kids to progress. And 2 things that I want to add about the curriculum part. A lot of people are inquiring about robotics. There are other school districts that have Within the school programs, within the school they have a robotics program where kids are interested, they can go and join. I don't see any robotics specific programs in Monroe Township. Is that something that's in plan or?
Sure. I just want to make sure that you're talking about the robotics program at the high school?
Yes.
Yes. Since we've hired a new teacher last year, or for this year, the robotics program is back up and operating. And we did host a robotic competition, or we attended one. We look to continue that program and really strengthen that program. I feel that's just such a crucial area that we need to work on, that whole STEM area, but robotics in particular. I would like to see that program strengthened not only in its current form, but really look at the areas that we haven't been looking at, and that is the medical area, robotic surgery. How can we look at combining the robotics the way it's being used in the field of medicine? So we're looking to continue to strengthen that program. We did take a step back when one of our teachers left about a year and a half ago. But that program is back up and running and hopefully will continue to be strengthened.
One thing, programs like these needs to be run continuously with adequate staff. With limited staff, there will be always a problem with the continuing these programs, right? And the number of students that are showing interest may be like more. Do we have a right amount of teachers or right amount of resources to accommodate those many teams, those many students who are interested to go towards the robotics programs? Do we have enough staff or enough teachers to accommodate these programs?
Yeah, do we have the staff for it? I just want to make sure I understood. Are you asking if we have the staff for the robotics?
Enough staff or enough teachers or enough resources?
I think we do. One thing I would like to, and I would encourage you if you would be interested in contacting me tomorrow or whatever day would be convenient, I would certainly like to maybe open it up to more community involvement. I know we have a lot of parents that work in this industry or in a related industry. And I know my own son, who works for Lockheed, volunteers in different school districts to work with the robotics programs. And I'm sure that we have people in this community with expertise in that area that could help us with that. So I would welcome a conversation with either yourself or others who might be interested in that. I would like to involve our supervisor, of course, and also Dr. Alvick, our assistant superintendent, to see, to bring in ideas about the robotics program.
Sure, and last one is about the science programs. Science fair, back in my childhood days, we used to have a science fair where people do some kind of experiments along with other school members and participate in inter-school programs. I don't see any such thing in Monroe. At least, I checked, South Brunswick has it, and I heard West Windsor also has it, I believe. Can we have such programs in Monroe Township too?
Well, we do have a number of science programs in the district, but that's an area where we can always, as others, we can look to improve. So again, I would welcome a conversation about that. Perhaps our supervisor of science could sit down and explain some of the programs that we do offer, and also look at other programs that maybe we could be looking at, or science competitions or other areas like that.
Sure, thank you.
Sure, quite welcome.
Good evening. Ram Rangnath, 6 Owens Drive, Monroe. A little disappointed that we don't have neither the referendum or the teachers' contract on the main agenda. Obviously, I'm not going to speak about it, but again, the Board of Education has realized what are the important topics, and it should happen, particularly with the referendum just a couple of weeks away. Something for future consideration. Now, I just want to talk again with Dr. Kozak. Again, very complimentary, as you heard from everyone, the public, the 700+ endorsements. He has done a fantastic job. The township can ill afford at this time change. We need his leadership to continue. So please, Dr. Kozak, please, if from your side, reconsider your actions. And same thing with the BOE, whether it's missteps or egos, whatever it is, please put that aside. The township is begging you, requesting you to please, let's have Dr. Kozak in the saddle for another few years. We need his leadership. This is a critical stage we are in with all the growth, explosion, the new school, security. So it's paramount that his leadership continues and your support is there for him to execute and deliver. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Deb Palella, 15 Louise Lane. I'd like to start by saying thank you for last night, and thank you for continuing to listen to what the people of Monroe are saying. I think last night was a wonderful opportunity for the townspeople to come together in support of not only the safety of the children, but of the teachers and the staff. No one wants to see anything terrible happen, so we appreciate the swift movement. We just hope that it continues and the temporary solution will become, there will be permanent ones. We're looking forward to hearing what comes out of the March 6th meeting and hoping that there will also be other public times that we could also speak. Dr. Kozak, thank you very much for having that openness with the community. I think it's evident in what you do, and including Facebook posts, that people are very pleased with you and what you're doing. Regarding the separate topic, the budget meeting, you mentioned happening. One thing I heard you mention was textbooks, and I just wanted to make an observation. If textbooks were to be purchased, I have a middle schooler who is not permitted to take home a science or social studies book because there are not enough for all of the students. So because there are not enough for all of the students, none of the students can have any books. So there are hundreds of books sitting there, not usable. Some can sign them out and some can't. So if we're going to look at purchasing, if we don't have the exact number to cover all of the students, then no one gets them. And then we've wasted money again. So perhaps this is another time to look at online books, if it is a feasibility, or some system where these children can get these books home. So it just seems that it doesn't make sense another time where money's spent. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
We'll look into that. Thank you. Anyone else have want to speak to the agenda?
Laura Grant, I'm a high school teacher. Last Friday, I came to school literally making the decision on whether or not my life was in jeopardy that day. That is something that I've never had to face in my years of teaching. That is something that is still affecting me. And my decision, after getting phone calls at 10:30 at night from Dr. Kozak and emails that went through, was that long before I teach them content, and I'm a history teacher, and long before I teach my students skills, I teach them how to speak, how to get evidence, how to get better in their writing. I'm sorry, I am emotional. And I made the decision to come in because I can never look my child in the face, and I mean my students when I say that, if I'm not there to make sure they're safe. And I don't know that the sub's going to take care of them. And I sure as hell don't know that I could ever live if something happened. And I have to tell you, that's the commitment that you have. That's what your staff does. Because this building, and I'm sure every other building in the district, was not right on Friday. And I was not right all weekend, and I'm still not right. And the fact that I'm simultaneously dealing with the fact that I don't know that my board is giving me respect for the fact that I'm literally risking my life, which is not the job I signed up for. But I'm going to be here every day for them. And how dare you not take care of us? How dare you?
Hi, my name is Christine Lester, 261 Cranberry Half Acre Road. I'd like to ask the board to accept Dr. Kozak's resignation and not to renew his contract. I do not feel like he's a good fit for the district, nor does he reflect how we feel about our students and our staff. The first reason is the gross mishandling of the passing of Michelle Finari, who is a nationally recognized teacher and Teacher of the Year. It took a week of emails with Dr. Kozak and the board for him to finally acknowledge her passing. When Dr. Kozak finally responded to read from his email, he said, "We did not notify the entire community as Mrs. Finari only taught at Applegarth and most parents would not know her. All of our teachers are important. That's why we're here. We're asking them to put their life on the line, and she wasn't popular enough to send an alert." After pressure from parents like myself and the board, he finally acknowledged something on Facebook. Now, her peers couldn't say anything because they risked losing their job. There was not a moment of silence at the next Board of Ed meeting. There was no acknowledgement of her passing. The only acknowledgement was when I came to the mic at public forum. The second thing, among many other things that I don't feel like Dr. Kozak has a handling on, is what happened last week. Obviously, following Wednesday's events, the anxiety was high. Dr. Kozak could have used that Facebook Live to address the concerns at the referendum broadcast. He did not. Maybe he didn't have information. I'm not really sure. I was told that there was a robocall that went on at 10:30. I did not receive that on all 3 of my phones, and I know other people did not get that. I chose to keep my kids home on Friday, even though I knew that they would be safe, because they were so anxious. The email from Dr. Kozak did not come to my email address until 1:30 in the morning. I did call the secretary the next day, and I was told he was not in the Board of Ed office, and from speaking to other parents and students, he was not at the high school, he was not at the middle school, he was not at any elementary school. I would want a superintendent that shows up when our district is in crisis. Even if you have a planned day off, you need to come in. You are the face of our district, you are the face of our teachers, and if you don't feel like you can come on Friday, how did you expect our students to? How do you expect our parents to and our teachers? Like, I'm just so disgusted. I want a leader. I want someone that values our teachers, their lives, and everything that they do. I want a superintendent that hires from within, that recognizes everything that these teachers do. These teachers are amazing. I would not send my children to school if I didn't have the quality of teachers that Monroe has. They will go to other districts. We will lose them. We need to retain them. Because of our teachers and how strong they are, I was able to send my child to school when normally I would probably have to homeschool. I want a superintendent that shows up when everything is rough. I want to say thank you to Mr. Gorski, the board, and Mr. Goodall. It was his email the next day on Friday that reassured most parents. It wasn't from you, Dr. Kozak. I don't know where you were. Everybody's asking, where were you on Friday?
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak to the agenda?
Ghazala Bora, 1 Miko Drive. I just wanted to make an observation here with reference to Dr. Kozak. As I've made very publicly known that I am not in support of the referendum and I will be voting against it, I had a personal conversation with Dr. Kozak, and I wanted to share that with the public here that contrary to what we just heard, Dr. Kozak has been spearheading this referendum process, and even though I do not support it at all, Dr. Kozak took the time in the middle of the day to answer my questions on a phone call, and he was very patient. He went through everything in great detail with me. It's unfortunate we don't agree. I don't agree with the administration because I've been involved in the whole overcrowding process and how to solve it, and I knew there were better solutions. So I don't agree, but I still do really appreciate what Dr. Kozak did as a superintendent and has done with a lot of other people in district. He has taken the time to explain the administration's logic behind it. And while I choose not to vote in favor of the referendum, I have a lot of respect for Dr. Kozak for what he's been trying to do. And I don't think our district has the money or the time to waste looking for another superintendent when we have a huge overcrowding problem to solve. We have not one, we have at least 2 referendums that we're looking at, so we should not be wasting time when we have the right person at the helm. I also wanted to make another observation about how the district has come together in the wake of whatever has happened in the past week, how we are all as parents, as educators, as administrators scared and doing the right thing, but I think the most important thing that I feel every time this happens, and it's happened twice in almost little over 4 years, while I lose sleep and we all struggle through this whole emotional upheaval, one thing that is on top of my head at that time is what these teachers are doing for my children. I am comfortable knowing who my kids are in the classroom with, and I know they will do everything in their ability to save my child, and so I feel embarrassed that my district cannot come to a contract with these teachers for a whole year. I think we need to do better with them. Thank you.
David Stroll, 110 Mendocre Drive, Jamesburg. I am president of the Jamesburg Board of Education. I have listened with great respect to all who have spoken tonight, and everyone has a valid point one way or another. I would just like to tell you that in this time it is tough for everybody, and that we all need to be proactive, not reactive. We have to let cooler heads prevail. We have to let party politics be completely forgotten in order to ensure the safety of our community, our schools, our children, and our administrators and teachers. So let's all work together instead of fighting about it, okay? Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the agenda? Then at this time, I will close the public forum and go to the superintendent's report. Dr. Kozak?
Thank you, Madam President. I didn't have this as part of my report, and I will make it very short, but I would just like to say thank you to the parents that got up and spoke on my behalf. And I'll just leave it at that. Thank you very much. It is very heartfelt. It's a very heartfelt appreciation. Thank you. As has been mentioned several times, we had the security presentation last night, and a lot of great suggestions came from the community, a lot of important information. We've been acting on that information. We're going to continue to act on that information. And I'm looking forward to our policy meeting with Mr. Arminio and others, the other members of the committee, that will be able to address that, the issues and the concerns. And I also would like to thank the mayor for providing the police force and, of course, our police chief, who has been tremendous throughout this entire process. On the agenda tonight, and Kathy, I know that you're going to speak to this as well, but I would just like to offer my personal appreciation for Mr. Ventrillo. In the short time that I've known Dennis, he has truly shown his dedication to this district, to the kids, to the teachers, the staff, and certainly someone that I've been able to talk to and kid around with and trade ideas. And, you know, for the number of years, you know, that he has been in education, and I believe his letter states 46, and I really have a hard time believing that it's been that long. But I just wanted to say thank you, and on behalf, I'm sure, of all of the students whose lives you have had a positive impact on over the years. So thank you. Even though it's not on the agenda, the referendum certainly is something that it's on our minds. We've been talking about it, we've been presenting, we have a newsletter going out, that we've been offering presentations, we have videos. We're still trying to reach out to the community. Besides all of the presentations that we have occurred in our schools and at some of our adult communities, we still have a few more. This Thursday, tomorrow night, I'll be at the Ponds Adult Community. Monday afternoon at the Municipal Building at 1 o'clock, the League of Women Voters. I'll be presenting there as well, and I have to offer my kudos to the League of Women Voters. They were very important in trying to register voters. Just to register voters. I'll be at Regency Monday night at 7 p.m. for the presentation on the referendum. Clearbrook Wednesday night on the referendum, presentation on the referendum. And on March 7th, Mr. Gorski is going to be presenting at Greenbrier, Whittingham that night, because that night, Mrs. Kalpanovich and I will be attending a student presentation in the county. For some of our students. So we won't be available that night. But I can't stress enough how important this referendum is. We've been doing everything we can to make this information transparent, put the information out on the website. I know that not everyone agrees, and I respect anyone, as we've heard tonight. There are people that don't agree. But I have to respectfully disagree and say that this referendum is so important that we get this middle school built. I walked around with Kathy Chang, a reporter from the Sentinel, as well as Kathy Kalapanovich and Shari Chanley, our principal of the middle school. And we walked through the school as the students were trying to navigate through the hallways. We walked into the lunchroom when the students were trying to get their lunch. Talking to the students as part of our student liaison, part of my student liaison. The students will be the first to tell me and to tell anyone about how crowded the conditions are. So I know that we have other issues to deal with in elementary in addition to the high school, and this is step one or phase one, but it is important. We're continuing to try to get the word out. We have parents in the community who have really gone over and above with talking to their neighbors, with sending out information, with offering to help. It's been wonderful to see that kind of that cooperation and that interest in coming out and helping with that. So again, we have plenty of information on Facebook, on our website. I'm always available if anybody wants to call and ask any questions about this, as I'm sure Mr. Gorski and Dr. Alvik and anyone else. So again, March 13th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. for that referendum. And recently, I was able to communicate with a number of superintendents throughout the state just to have another meeting about where we are with state aid. We are anxiously awaiting the new state aid numbers from the governor, and we have now expanded our superintendent group to around 40 superintendents. And we had a video conference that I hosted yesterday, actually. And that conference, we basically said that once we receive the numbers, if the districts, including Monroe Township, are not receiving the state aid that this township, this district deserves, and I'll certainly talk to our board president, Kathy Kalapanovich, and certainly Ken Chiarella, the head of the chairperson for the ad hoc committee. But the talk from the superintendents is that we continue that grassroots effort to continue to address our Senate and our Assembly at the budget hearings. So we're anxiously awaiting, and the parent groups throughout these 40 districts, and I'm sure more, are willing and able to stand up and to go and testify again, as I know many of our Monroe Township residents have done, and we certainly appreciate that. So I just wanted to give an update on that. And with so many other things going on tonight, I won't continue any more with anything else other than to respectfully ask the board to approve the attached personnel items A through AF on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella and Ms. Arminio, are there any comments or questions for Dr. Kozak? Mr. Chiarella?
I have a comment. So I just want to thank Mr. Ventrello, where'd he go? Oh, there he is, for his service and his time here, also for his friendship, over the years and all of the great things he's done for the district, including stepping up and filling in as our interim superintendent and doing a lot of great things, going way back. I'm gonna vote no, just because I want to put that down. That I don't want you to be miserable. I want you to have a good life, but I just want you to know that we'll miss you. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Mr. V. Usually I have things written down so that I know what I'm going to say, and this time I'm going to wing it. So we go back like 27 years when you were a new principal at Brookside, and I was a new parent at the Berkeley Brookside PTA, and we ended up being new principal and new board president of the PTA. And a lot of people don't know it, but I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't for you, because you've encouraged me to run for the Board of Education. And it took me a while to feel like I could do that, and I did. And you probably don't know this story, but when I ran in 1999 for the board, at that time we went to the to the township office to get our results. So now we get them from the county, so we have to sit home and wait. But at that time, we went to the township. So I got home about 10 o'clock that night, and my kids were waiting for me, and they were very excited. The first thing they said to me is, "Mom, did you win?" And I said, "Yes." The second question, and they only asked me 2 questions, was, "Does that make you Mr. V's boss?" And I had to think about that for a while because it never hit me that, that could possibly be. But I thank you for everything, especially your friendship. And it's meant a lot to me over the years. I know we've had a lot of conversations, and I am proud to call you my friend. And I know that even our little grandchildren, unbeknownst to me, have met. And they're only 4 months old. So you have done amazing things in Monroe Township. You are Monroe Township. You will be missed. And to think about all the vice principals and the principals and the teachers that you have mentored and the countless kids that you have had a positive effect on. I mean, you say that people can be replaced, and they can, but there will be nobody that will be able to fill your shoes. So thank you, Mr. V, for everything you've done for me and for this district. And if you get enough votes tonight, I might vote no, too. Anyone else? Okay, then we will have a roll call, Mr. Gorski.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mr. Braverman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes on everything except A, the retirement of Dennis Ventrello.
No on, that's a no on V.
No on A.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
Mrs. Koloponowicz.
I am going to say yes on everything because I know it's your time.
Madam Board President, personnel items A through AF has passed.
Thank you. Dr. Kozak, board action items?
I just want to make sure that we removed the policy.
It's on the board action items.
Oh,
This-
okay,
that
the
was
next one.
personnel.
Okay, thank you.
We'd like to recommend that the board approve the attached board action items A through P.
With the exception of policy and regulation 7440 and policy and regulation 7441, which will be removed for further review,
Yep.
consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chiarella and Ms. Arminio. Any comments or questions for Dr. Kozak? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mr. Braverman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through P has passed.
Thank you. And at this time, we will go to the Business Administrator's report. Mr. Gorski.
Thank you, Madam. I would just like to take a moment and also thank Mr. Ventrello. 18 and a half years ago, you were the second person I met in this district. And I could say, looking back, I've interacted with you more than any other administrator in this district on a host of different issues. Like Mrs. Koloponowicz said, I'm going just from memory, but we reopened Applegate School together when it was closed for a period of time, inclusive of all your artwork that will remain in the school. And it was a pleasure serving you as the business administrator when you filled in at a time when a superintendent leadership position was needed. And we'll miss you greatly in the business office because we're not going to have that volume of purchase orders anymore. But wish you all the best and the best of health in your retirement. Madam Board President and members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, it is recommended that board action items A through G be approved by consent roll call.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella and Mr. Rutsky. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Gorski? Seeing none, roll call.
Mrs. Arminio.
Yes.
Mr. Braverman.
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo.
Yes.
Mrs. Lang.
Yes.
Mrs. Carino.
Yes.
Mr. Rutsky.
Yes.
And Mrs. Koloponowicz.
Yes.
Madam Board President, board action items A through G has passed. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll go to the board president's report, and I have two things today. My first one is about the district safety and security information meeting we had yesterday, and it was written before I had the conversations with the mayor this afternoon, and then he came and offered his services to the district in having security, armed security at all of our schools. So if I repeat myself, I'll try not to. But last night I attended the district safety and security information meeting along with Jill DeMayo and Michelle Arminio. And I'd like to thank everyone who came out yesterday. There were quite a few hundred people there and offered their questions, their comments, and their suggestions. The safety and security of all of our students is our priority, and everything that we heard last night and through the emails we've been receiving will be considered and evaluated. We will work with our Director of Security, our Monroe Township Police Department, other districts who already implemented security measures, and any other people we feel are pertinent to the security conversation. After that, recommendations will come to the administration, from the administration to the policy committee for their review and input. And I had asked Ms. Arminio to please make this a priority and put just the safety and security on for the next meeting. If the policy committee is in agreement, the new and/or revised policies will be put on the March agenda for a first reading and approval by the board, and then we should have a second reading of those policies in April. So it is only after a second reading that a new and revised policy can be implemented. We did check with our insurance company this morning, and you can let me know if I'm wrong. And armed security personnel are covered under insurance, but only if we go through policy. So this is something that we need to do, and we will do. Our administrators spent the morning making sure that all the procedures that are already in place, such as making sure that every person who comes into one of our schools is seen through the closed circuit monitors and has to show an ID, and that will be put through the school data banks, that these policies that we have in place already are or will be followed if they're not at this moment. We will look at redistricting our security personnel so that we have a retired policeman in every school. We have safety and security policies and procedures in place. We just need to make sure that they are followed. We know we can always do better. At the high school, Mr. Goodall followed up with his students who spoke up last night at the meeting. Safety seminars for all grades will be given on Friday and Monday for a Q&A with the students at the high school and what the expectations are of students. The high school will also be going through a building assessment to see what security measures can be improved. And as we said, Dr. Kozak said yesterday, we got on this right away yesterday, as soon as the meeting was over. There have been things that we've been put in place today. We've worked with the mayor. So we are moving with making sure that everything in our district is as secure and safe as possible. My next thing is the March 13th referendum. This is the last board meeting, as Dr. Kozak said, before the referendum for the middle school. The middle school, just to reiterate some of the information going around, is on the corner of Applegarth and Cranberry Station Roads. It is a cost of $68.8 million. That piece of property is now owned by the township. The former owners agreed to the eminent domain process and are continuing to negotiate the price of the land. There is no lawsuit on that property. When the referendum passes, the new middle school will open in September of 2021. Also, when this referendum passes in March, the board will start the process of planning for a high school addition and a new elementary school. With the information we need and the time it takes the state to authorize all the paperwork needed for a referendum, it looks like it would be 9 to 12 months, as I said at the next meeting, before another referendum can take place. There will be next year, there will be 10 additional portable classroom trailers at the middle school. So even with the additional trailers, our core facilities such as the cafeteria, the gym, the media center, and especially our hallways are having a difficult time accommodating the influx of new students. Every single nook and cranny, we went on the tour Tuesday, and every like closets are now used, and small instructional spaces are used for small groups, and classrooms have been divided in half, and there is no more room to put any more classrooms. So per state law, trailers are only allowed to be utilized for 5 years. The trailers are here, the kids are coming, so our options are limited. We build now or we build later. If we wait and the referendum goes down, the state will not come in and give us the money to build a new school for some of the following reasons. We in Monroe Township give our students a thorough and efficient education. That's a good thing. Our district is over adequacy by offering more opportunities to our students than many other districts around. That's a good thing. The state considers Monwell to be a wealthy community and able to cover the cost of education. Not exactly true. There is a wealth of information on our district website, and I hope that you go to it and familiarize yourself with the information, and please make an informed decision when you go out and vote on March 13th. Thank you, and that concludes my report. So at this time, we will go to other Board of Education business. Is there anyone?
I do. I have something.
Mrs. Mayo?
Yes. So the legislators came back from break in January, and with the new governor, there was a whole slew of new education bills that were at the Senate Education Committee. And one of them caught my attention, which is S1055. It requires full-day kindergarten in all school districts and establishes a uniform age requirement for enrollment in kindergarten. And I read the bill, and it in no way had anything, there was no money assigned for this. So I felt the need to go down to Trenton and to speak to the senators, and here is what I said to them. Thank you, Chairman Ruiz and the entire Senate Education Committee, for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jill DeMayo, and I'm a parent of 2 boys in the Monroe Township School District of Middlesex County and a member of the Monroe Board of Education. I'm here today as a parent, and my views don't represent that of the board, and I am not authorized to speak on the board's behalf. I am here to speak on Senate Bill 1055 requiring districts to implement full-day kindergarten. I believe in kindergarten, and I believe all schools should offer full-day kindergarten. That is not at issue here. But I want to explain to you the challenges we face in my district and the impact this bill will have on us. My district is seeing an influx of 300 new students each year. These new students require an average of $4.5 million additional funds each year to educate. Our state aid is only $3 million. We have been seeing this growth over the past 10 years, and we currently have 1,500 unhoused students with an additional 1,500 projected in the next 5 years. Because of this growth, we need a new middle school, a new elementary school, and an addition onto the high school. We are going out for a referendum for a new middle school in March, but until the new middle school gets built, we need 10 additional temporary classrooms at the current middle school next year at an annual cost of $1.5 million, including outfitting and staffing. The current middle school is so crowded that when my son was in 8th grade last year, he wouldn't buy lunch because by the time he purchased his lunch period was over. This problem is going to be exacerbated with the addition of the students filling the 10 temporary classrooms. In addition, class sizes are growing, the hallways are crowded, and the gym isn't large enough for all the physical education classes needed. We also have schools that need repairs. We have 2 schools that were built in the 1930s that are in constant need of repairs. To replace district-wide, outdated, and unreliable boiler and HVAC system, it is estimated to cost millions of dollars, and next year we are going to bid to replace one at an estimated cost of over $800,000. About 5 years ago, we put full-day kindergarten on as a ballot question. At that time, it would have cost my district $750,000 to implement, but because of the growth and unhoused students, the passage of this bill would require us to purchase an additional 8 temporary classrooms at the elementary schools. This will cost upwards of $1.5 million. That's a $1.5 million unfunded mandate for a district that only receives $3 million in state aid. In order for my district to comply with the new law, I ask that you give a more generous time frame for planning and include funding for the first year of full-day kindergarten. Thank you. So we'll see where that bill goes. That was only a first read, but it did pass out of committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Braverman, did you have your hand up?
I move that this Board of Education ask Dr. Kozak to withdraw his resignation. The Secretary of the Board should ask, in writing, for Dr. Kozak to rescind his letter of resignation. This should be done within 5 business days of this meeting. If and when Dr. Kozak rescinds his resignation, the board president and vice president should start negotiations to extend Dr. Kozak's contract for not less than 2 years. The negotiation should be done at a mutually agreed upon time within 10 business days of the notice of repeal of the resignation.
I'll second it.
Any comments or questions by the board?
I just have a question. So if we're going to vote on this, we're going to ask Dr. Kozak to rescind. I think what has to happen is we have to, if you could make an amendment, that the board has to be asked to rescind the board has to be asked to rescind their acceptance of Dr. Kozak's resignation, if that's the proper way to do it.
The proper way to do it would be to take it into closed session and have a discussion.
No, there's a motion on the table.
Yes, I understand that.
If Mr., just to be correct, that we're asking the board to rescind their acceptance of Dr. Kozak's resignation.
And
if you could put that language in.
If I am correct, that motion can only be made by somebody who is on the affirmative side for accepting his resignation. And I know our,
The opposite. Mary's here.
No, I don't think so. I think there's a motion, and I don't think Mr. Braverman ever voted on it, so it does.
He did not.
Well, then I'll make them, if you'll allow me, I'll make the motion, if that's what you're saying.
You cannot ask because you were on the negative side. Only somebody who has voted positively to accept that motion can make that motion to now rescind the contract.
And where does it say that? I'd like it to be read into the record that you're saying that that's.
Can we ask the board attorney?
I never heard of this. I never heard of that.
Madam,
I'd like to hear
according-
from the board attorney.
So,
Can you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry?
Can you identify yourself?
Mary Smith, Board Attorney. Can you repeat the question?
Can we make a motion to ask the board to rescind our?
Dr. Kozak's contract?
No, that's not what he's saying. We're asking the board to rescind the acceptance of Dr. Kozak's resignation.
So the motion can be made, and what the board president was saying is you believe that you can't be done if you were unless you were on the positive side.
That was my impression.
Yeah, I think you can make the motion. I think you can make the motion.
Okay.
Mike Gorski, you've got Robert's rules there?
yes, I do. And the motion that that's on the floor is a motion to rescind, not reconsider. Reconsider, as Mrs. Koloponowicz said, would require someone
Okay,
voting.
then I had that
That
one.
way, yes. The motion to rescind can be made regardless of how you voted on the original motion.
So the motion to rescind the prior acceptance is what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. So, Mr. Braverman, would you please repeat that motion?
Repeat it.
Repeat it, please.
I move that this Board of Education ask Dr. Kozak to withdraw his resignation. The Secretary of the Board should ask in writing for Dr. Kozak to rescind his letter of resignation. This should be done within 5 business days of this meeting. If and when Dr. Kozak rescinds his resignation, the Board President and Vice President should start negotiations to extend Dr. Kozak's contract for not less than 2 years. The negotiations should be done at a mutually agreed upon time within 10 business days of the notice of repeal of the resignation.
And I seconded it.
Okay. And there's no comments or questions?
Yes, I have some comments.
Oh,
I would just like to say, in favor of that, and I hope you take this up and take the opportunity to rescind, and then we could all discuss it in closed session or do whatever we have to do. But I think that the 49th, the highest ranked high school in the state, out of 600 and something districts, from what I understand, that's an excellent thing. And even though I also give credit to our teachers, you deserve that credit also. We have a referendum just a couple of weeks away. Why we would send a signal out to the public that we have instability, and the perception that I've seen on Facebook and out in the community is, hey, why is he running away? He must be running. He must know something we don't know. That is not giving our residents the confidence to vote for this referendum. I'm sorry. So as much as we talk about it, that's a strike against us. We have 700 signatures from our residents who are telling us to do something, and we're in the middle of MTEA negotiations. Why we would want to change leadership in the middle of all this is beyond me. So I hope you take that, and I hope the other board members just vote to rescind. We're not voting for a contract here. We're voting to just rescind. Thank you.
I would also like to say something. We ask a great deal of the taxpayers. We ask them to pay their taxes. We ask them to vote for a referendum. We know their taxes are going to go up. So when they speak to us about what they would like to have in this community and the leadership, and they're pleased with Dr. Kozak, I think we should respond to them in a positive manner. Dr. Kozak, for the last 3 years, I've only known him for 3.5 years, has been a gentleman. He's spent time in the community. He is, from all my experience, is interested in student achievement, which is one of the basic important goals of this district. And I think we should support him. From the rest of the administration down to the people, on the front lines, students and teachers and parents. And we always ask for community support. Well, we've got community support, for goodness sake. Let's ask Dr. Kozak to stay. I believe he has thought about reconsidering. I believe he cares about this district a great deal. And I think in undermining him, for those who seem to be undermining him, it's a disgrace to our district. And our parents and our teachers deserve more, and so does Dr. Kozak.
anyone else?
Yes, Mrs. Karponovich. I am going to vote no to rescind ask Dr. Kozak to rescind his resignation. I am voting no because I believe that my seat here on the board is to be an individual as a member of this team who is making decisions in the very best interest of every one of our students. I believe that as a board, we have met numerous times and there is information that has not been shared publicly,
Patty,
which cannot be.
We can't go into personnel.
Right.
in
I'm
public.
just saying that there are reasons that we've made these decisions. and I am sticking
Please
to my
make
decision.
it your decision.
I
not-
have made
no.
my decision, and I am sticking with my decision,
That's good.
and I have no regrets.
Excuse me, but that was uncalled for. Anyone else? Then at this time, we will have a roll call. Do you know what the motion is? Do you want me to
The
read it?
substance of the motion is to ask Dr. Kozak to rescind his resignation.
Withdraw is what,
Withdraw?
withdraw
Withdraw
is what
his
I understand
resignation.
Mr. Braverman said.
I'm unclear about that. I thought the substance was that we are asking the board to rescind our acceptance of his resignation.
See, that's different than what Mr. Braverman said, so we got to be clear here. Mr. Braverman repeated himself twice, and I thought I understood it. Withdraw his resignation, that's what's on the table.
No, we can, all right,
Okay.
I'll make another motion after that. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? I'm not a board member, but can I ask a question
Sure.
about? So if I heard the resolution correctly, it was rescind my resignation,
No. Withdraw.
withdraw my resignation, and then within 5 days, and then negotiations for an extension of my contract for a minimum of 2 years. I'm paraphrasing. So I just wanted to make sure I'm
Can
understanding.
you read this into the
it correctly.
record, Mr.?
Let
Yeah.
me read that again. I'll
The
read it
business,
out loud.
okay.
This is from Mr. Braverman. I move that the Board of Education ask Dr. Kozak to withdraw his resignation. The Secretary of the Board should ask in writing for Dr. Kozak to rescind his letter of resignation. This should be done within 5 business days of the meeting. If and when Dr. Kozak rescinds his resignation, the Board President and Vice President should start negotiations to extend Dr. Kozak's contract for not less than 2 years. The negotiations should be done at a mutually agreed upon time within 10 business days of the notice to repeal the resignation. So we're voting to ask Dr. Kozak to withdraw his resignation. Okay. Everybody got that?
I have a question. Am I allowed to vote if I'm conflicted? No, okay.
What is the vote? It has to, majority rules?
Simple
vote or
majority on
simple
this.
majority?
Okay.
Mrs. Arminio,
I'm voting yes.
Mr. Braverman,
Yes.
Mr. Chiarella.
Yes.
Mrs. DeMayo,
No.
Mrs. Lang.
No.
I'm going to ask Mrs. Carino.
Oh, recuse.
Recuse, thank you. Mr. Rutsky?
I'm going to vote yes.
Mrs. Cole-Penrich?
No.
Madam Board President, motion to ask Dr. Kozak to withdraw his resignation with further stipulation that the Secretary of the Board should ask him in writing to rescind his letter of resignation. It should be done within 5 days of this meeting. Has passed.
Okay. So you can take this. Ms. Arminio?
Yes, and I would be willing to put another motion just to protect what I understand just happened, that the board has, now do I have to make another motion that the board has rescinded their acceptance of Dr. Kozak's resignation?
That didn't
That-
happen because this was not, this resolution was for.
Okay, wait, it didn't happen that we, do we
No,
need to have that happen?
No, because this basically
overrides it.
covers it as
Okay.
long as Dr. Kozak is so inclined.
Okay. Then I don't need to make an additional motion.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, this covers, if Dr. Kozak wants to withdraw his resignation, he's going to be asked by the board business administrator in writing within 5 days of the date of this meeting. If he is then so inclined, he will withdraw it. Negotiations will then happen, and then ultimately, regardless of whether or not the board accepted the resignation, the board can always offer a new contract at any time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I want to, okay, I'm going to read this before I make a motion to see if it's appropriate for us to do it.
You want to do this in closed and then?
No, I think the
Okay.
public should know this.
Okay.
You know, and as long as we understand. Whereas Dr. Michael Kozak, herein Dr. Kozak is currently employed by the Board of Education, herein referred to as a board, as its superintendent of schools and is serving under the terms and conditions of a written employment contract that began July 1st, 2015 and extends until June 30th, 2018. Whereas on December 13th, 2017, Dr. Kozak submitted a letter of resignation to be effective June 30th, 2018 to the board, and which was accepted by the board at its meeting on December 13th, 2017. Whereas members of the board were opposed to Dr. Kozak's resignation and have requested that he rescind his resignation and continue as superintendent. Whereas members of the community are opposed to Dr. Kozak's resignation and have presented a petition of over, 500 signatures requesting him to continue as superintendent. Whereas Dr. Kozak is agreeable to continue to serve as superintendent and it requests that his resignation be rescinded. Whereas it is best interest of the school district for Dr. Kozak to continue to serve as superintendent in order to provide for administrative stability, completion of education programs and projects, and to minimize disruption to the school district. Be it resolved that Dr. Kozak's letter of resignation be and is hereby rescinded. Be it resolved that the board and Dr. Kozak enter into negotiations, for future employment contract effective beginning July 1st, subject to approval of executive county superintendent. If you don't think that that's necessary, I will not move it.
I think we accomplished
We've
that by
accomplished
Mr.
it. Thank you.
Braverman's.
Okay.
And then he also goes into a whole nother legal issue, so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And in that case, I didn't know that resolution was going to be proposed, but it was always hopeful and optimistic. So I have a letter, and I'm going to hand it to Mr. Gorski.
Dr. Kozak, would you like me to read this?
Sure.
Letters dated February 21st, 2018. Dear members of the Monroe Township Board of Education, I hereby request the board rescind my letter of resignation dated December 13th, 2017. I wish to continue to serve as superintendent of schools beyond June 30, 2018. Sincerely yours, Michael Kozak, superintendent of schools.
Okay.
I have other board business. I almost forgot, if that's okay.
I think that's, but we're still on.
All right. So just a couple things, right? So I'm not on policy. So when policy takes up the security measures and those kind of things, I would just like to ask that we also look at procedures for fire drills, when teachers would know that a fire drill is real as opposed to a prank where somebody pulls a fire drill to draw kids out and draw teachers out, those kind of things, so that we're covered in those things, that those procedures are all covered and we're doing the right things and we have that kind of training going on. Because that's what scared me the most about Florida is that, from what I understood, a fire alarm was pulled, the kids rushed out, and this guy was sitting there waiting for them. And I just want to make sure that in our schools that we do something where we're able to give the teachers and the students an all clear, telling them that it's a real fire drill or it's a real fire, and to proceed out. The other thing is just to look at also where backpacks are allowed in the schools and things like that, and then maybe metal detectors and those kind of things. And then one more thing that I have, but not in regards to that, is just that I know we do a very good job with sports and head injuries or other injuries too. But if you have someone in football and a doctor puts them out because they've had a head injury or something, that we require a doctor's note for them to come back. I just want to make sure that our policy is also very clear when it comes to other sports, like things like cheerleading, for instance, where that's a very vigorous sport. It is a sport. It's not, and I think I just want to make sure that we're treating it as a sport, and that if those injuries happen, that we're also doing that follow-up with doctor's notes and making sure that those kids are 100% healed before they can practice again and come back and do those things. That's it.
Any other Board of Education business?
Yeah, I would like to thank the board for the hearing devices and the microphones. As somebody who is deaf in one ear and losing my hearing in my opposite ear, this is the first time I've been able to actually hear our meeting. So I thank you very, very, the whole thing. Usually when people stand at the microphone, it's very difficult to hear. So I really appreciate that we've brought this system in. And from what I understand, members of the public who might need hearing assistance, this is also available for you to use. So thank you very much.
Okay.
I just want to say you're correct. I'm hearing much better as well. And now that I know it's so boring, I don't think I'll come anymore.
Don't quit.
Okay, so if there's no more Board of Ed business, we will go to public forum. So anyone from the public wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and give your name and address for the record. And we will adhere to our 4-minute time limit.
The name is Doug Poy. I live at 4 Tamarack Road. Several months ago, I did a study of the attendance of our board members for the past year, 2017. And in doing that study, I found that we had at least 2 board members who had missed a significant number of meetings during the year. And in response to that, I wanted to suggest that the policy committee consider the development of a bylaw which would deal with excessive absences from meetings. Now, I think that it's very appropriate in light of what we've seen tonight. Dr. Kozak's letter of resignation was accepted one night when I believe we only had maybe 8 board members here.
6.
And had we had a full board member here, a full attendance by the board here, then maybe the deliberations would have been a little bit better than they were. I'm not speaking in favor of exactly whether the superintendent should continue or not. What I'm speaking of is in terms of how this board has operated. And I regret to say this because I am a prior member of this board. But I think it's been very, very awkward for Dr. Kozak to deal with this. It's obvious, it is quite obvious that there was pressure for that resignation. I don't know this from having attended any meetings. I just know this from what I've observed by attending these meetings of the Board of Education. I wish Dr. Kozak well, in whatever direction he goes in the future. If he stays here, I wish him well, and I would say God bless you for having to work with this Board of Education. Thank you.
Board members and Dr. Kozak, I'm coming here with...
Could you please give your name and address for the record?
My name is David Rothman, and the hat I'm wearing tonight is I'm on the Henry Rickwest Holocaust Memorial Committee. We've had 280 essays that were submitted from last year. It's taken us a while to read through. We're having our final meeting on March 22nd, and I'm sure we'll have the top 10 to 12 who we'll be giving awards to. And I'd love to have them on your agenda if that's available in April. So for your April agenda, bring those 10 members, maybe have 1 or 2 read their essays so you can see what's...
We've done that every year, and we look forward to that.
Be my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. Bye now.
My name is Mahan Shah. I live at 2 Elliott Drive. I'm a student here at Monroe Township High School. I'm standing here today to fight for the future of Monroe Township's youth. I'm here to fight for the rights of our educators. I was not asked or probed to stand here today, but knowing what is at stake here pushed me to come and voice my concerns as a young voter. Respect is caring about what individuals who by the time the contract is made will be able to vote on the seats that you guys are sitting on currently will have to say. Respect is paying attention to the hardworking individuals and the brave hearts that come and stand here in front of a group of individuals who attempt to intimidate others to fight for the rights of our teachers. Respect is something that all individuals deserve, whether you are tired or bored. Respect is not playing on your phone or looking at walls, but instead looking into the pleading eyes of those whose lives are affected by the changes you make. Based on what I saw at the meeting last month, with all due respect, I believe this board needs a reminder of what respect is. The people that came up here demand to be heard because we are the ones affected by your choices. We, the students, are the ones that will lose extremely qualified teachers due to health insurance prices, false raises, and injustices. We are the ones that will lose teachers that care whether we succeed or fail. Think back to your favorite teacher and what they did for you. Think back to them having to work multiple jobs on top of teaching in order to put food on their tables. It's heart-wrenching to think about. It truly is. The struggles that our teachers go through because of the choices that you've made. So as you make this new contract, I ask you to keep the teachers that have changed your life in mind. Thank you.
My name is Joe Homoki, 61 Hoffman Road. I've been around a long time, back in the 90s, but this is the first. I never seen anything like this before. I just like to say that, Dr. Kozak, I haven't had too many dealings with you, but the times that I did, they were extremely positive. I know that you have been a very open individual, very caring about the students and the community. But I want to talk about the referendum. I think it's very important that the board is unified in this respect. I've been through a number of referendums. Sometimes we won the first time, sometimes we lost the first time. And almost every second time, and this is very important for everybody, the second time, if it goes down, it will cost more. No question about it. It will cost more, not only more, but it will be more time, another 2-year delay, and that will be very critical for our students. So I'm really hoping that it will pass, and I hope that the board will be unified, and whatever the problem is with the board and the superintendent, I hope you can work out. So good luck to everybody, and I hope the referendum passes.
Thank you.
Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. Again about the referendum, because here tonight the public is hearing, so please support this referendum. It is very important. Our schools are overcrowded. Middle school is overcrowded, so that is the first preference. And our board has promised, our president has promised that once this passes, we are going to work on expansion of high school and elementary school. So they're not sitting back, they are going to do it. And for the senior citizens, and my request is please consider this, because there are senior citizens which I'm hearing that they don't care for public education. So please here, put your politics back. Please vote for this. There are many senior citizens who are very rich. I thought that our average senior citizens make $104,000, so they're rich. So that's why we are becoming an affluent society here and we don't get state aid, okay? So please vote. And another one good news is, our Assemblyman Benson today sent me whatever his publication that clearly says that the seniors whose income is less than $100,000, they will have the deductions, state deductions increased to 40,000, and it will be phased out in next 5 years. Those who are having income of 100,000 need not have to pay state tax. So they are getting state relief, okay? And secondly, the senior citizens whose income is $72,000, there will be a tax freeze. So please consider that. So you are getting a relief for the taxes. Please vote for this referendum. So that is our request, okay, on referendum. And whatever we have to canvass in next few weeks, we will do that. We have volunteers to support you, President. The next thing is about school safety again. There's a lot of things going on in Washington. The students are marching and requesting for, change in our law. Whether we are Republicans or we are Democrats, it is our question of our children, safety of the people coming to the school, teachers, security, everyone, okay? So there should be, even the president is talking about, there should be some checks and balances, So please consider this is not political. Please consider to have some resolution from schools supporting stricter regulations at state and federal level for gun control, background checks. Why people should have automatic guns? That is not the amendment. They said they have gun, not an automatic shoot everyone within 2 minutes. So please consider to have that resolution. And lastly, another one thing, I just want whatever I missed, marijuana. Thank you very much. I'm against recreational marijuana. I'm for the medicinal marijuana. And even for the medical marijuana, we have to think in a positive way. The people who have cancer, Parkinson's and all, they want to use medical marijuana. Small quantity costs $600, and it is not reimbursed by the insurance. So where we have to act, I'm a pharmaceutical scientist, we have to act with the senators to make marijuana not like opioid, decrease its standards so that researchers can make a research, so it will be approved by the FDA, so we can have prescriptions on marijuana, so we can, our people who have cancer, Parkinson's, and other things, can a relief from the, the insurance will pay for that. So I'm ready to work with you all as an advisory committee to give pluses and minuses on this issue. So thank you very much for considering it. Thank you.
Betty Sabarito, 2 Barrymore Drive. I want to speak in favor of the teachers, and I did see it on the agenda, so I'm not sure. We all saw it back there on the agenda, why it was said that I couldn't speak before. As I started before, I cannot speak highly enough about the incredible teachers that we have in this district. I have twins in the district that are in the 1st grade, one of which is a special need child with a diagnosis of autism. The fact that my children are doing as well as they are is in major part due to the educators that they have been privileged enough to have. And I say privileged because we have an incredible group of individuals in this district that is currently not being valued by this board. They would not have the foundation in these early years that they need to reach their potential and be successful if it were not for the teachers that they had. I want to commend Jean Barsa, Susan Huey-Kaluki, Lisa Papandrea, and Danielle Pandolfi for giving one of my sons a foundation to soar, and it is amazing to see how he loves learning and is enthusiastic about school, all thanks to those teachers. I also want to give a special acknowledgement to Paula de Blasio. Both of my twins were lucky enough to have her in pre-K, and she started them on the right path. And most especially, and another parent said this, I want to commend Jennifer Biddick, Jim Bowe, Annette Hardaby, and Stacy Libros because they gave my son his life. These educators are worth more than what they are currently being paid and what they are currently being valued from what the public sees by this board. The most amazing group of individuals came into my son's life and into my family. Without them, we would not have come as far as he has come, and he would not continue to soar. I am forever grateful. As I said before, they gave him a life. Jennifer Biddick will always be the teacher of reference in his life. It is thanks to her that my son not only got his life, but has a chance in life. That is something that is irreplaceable and that you guys cannot put a price tag on. Board of Ed members, I bring this up because you need to know what these teachers mean to us and how important they are to our children, not only today, but helping them build their future. If my son will be independent in the future, it is thanks to the teachers he's had in these early years. Please settle the contract with them and give them what they deserve in terms of salary and benefits. We cannot lose them to other districts. And on a side note, Dr. Kozak, congratulations. I am very thrilled that you will be staying.
Good evening, my name's Al Korsha. I live at 419 Schoolhouse Road. Doctor, I'm sure you remember me from last night, or maybe you don't.
I do.
I spoke about school security, not only as a parent, but a 30-year law enforcement officer with extensive background in school security in particular, since Columbine, like I told you last night, introduced us all to it. Some of you weren't there, so if I'm being redundant, I apologize. I want to commend you, whoever got it done, to put these officers in the school, because we're at the point where if we debate and debate and debate, somebody might get hurt, okay? And whoever got it done, listen, I came last night to tell you how I felt about armed officers, and I still feel about that's the way to go. So I do commend you for getting it done, and I think the community in a whole that especially people who have children, will rest a lot easier, because it's a frightening thing. And not only is it frightening for the kids and the parents, the stress that's put on law enforcement officers, because if you don't think that any guy or woman or security officer or cop, if that's not our greatest fear of kids getting hurt, then you don't know cops, okay? Because I didn't fear much when I was on the road, but I worried about these kids in these schools, and I still worry about these kids in these schools. My point is that I know you guys are going to build new schools. It's inevitable. I think that you really have to take into consideration security, okay? You have to, if you haven't planned on, I'm sure you have to have people come in with security in mind. Is it the most important thing? In my mind it is, because without people feeling safe in a nurtured environment, they're not going to learn, okay? Also, we talk about the kids and the parents. I think that you need to see how your staff feels too, because you know what, they got to work here, and they have to feel safe too. So, and I don't think it's anybody's fault or intention, because we worry about the kids and the parents get up here, but they work here. This is their careers, so they need to have some input. And I think that when you do these schools, you just better have that on, somewhere on the stove, because, I'm going to give you a perception of a law enforcement officer. When I first came into this school, and this, it's a beautiful school when it was built. But when I come in and I see all that open space, I'm saying, oh, dear God, I hope we never have to enter here, because it's going to be a problem, for safety. For that's how officers think. The general public doesn't think that way, but I think that when you build these schools, I really think that you have to take certain things into consideration, okay? And I'm sure you will. One of the mistakes or pitfalls I think people make are, I don't know what your profession, right? I don't know about curriculum, the way you guys do, about different studying methods. I don't. That's why I rely on you guys. And I think, like I told you last night, I think a lot of people think they know security, think they know what it is to be a cop. We all watch the shows, Cops and everything, but you really have to rely on security. Let security, you may not understand it or understand why Mr. Pyro's asking for certain things. Him and I are personal friends, so I'm here in support of him, okay? And just so you know, I'm offering my support to the school district. I told him, as a volunteer, I'm not looking for a job. I got plenty of them. I got plenty of people asking me to do security. So when this process starts to arm these guys, I'm certified to qualify anybody. I have proposals that I did for other townships. I'll gladly give them to you. I don't want a job, but I'm just letting you know, besides stating my opinion, I'm a person of action too. So I told Mr. Pyro, if they need help with anything, because you're gonna have to work on this continually, because the school year is September, right? Because, you know, we're gonna have to work it, so I'll write to you, and I'll give you my information, and anything I can do to help, as an officer, as a citizen, and as a parent, I'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would like to come to our policy meeting on March 6th, we're going to be having policies in regard to safety and security. So we don't usually have people allowed to speak, but maybe Ms. Arminio will give you that opportunity.
Listen, I'm not here to circumvent the Monroe Police Department or the security. They're all competent. I'm just saying that I know Mr. Pyro personally. We've worked jobs together in Manhattan. We've done different things. You know, that I'm just here to help. That's all. I'll volunteer. And people that don't know me, I've been a volunteer coach in this town for many years. I volunteered a lot of hours. I don't care about volunteering, okay, because it's that important to me, okay? It's not only because I have kids here. It's because, like I told you, that I didn't fear much, but I worried about kids at school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rizala Bora, 1 Miko Drive. I've been a resident of Monroe for 9 years. 8 years my kids have been in the district, in the schools. I've been very active in the PTA volunteering and as an officer. And it breaks my heart for the last few months whenever I drop off my kids at zero period or whatever, I'm driving by and I see teachers standing with a sign, and I know all of us have the same amount of respect for them. So I am puzzled as a resident as to why our district is taking so long to come to a contract for our teachers. There has to be a sense of urgency by now. Why are we not giving them what, I'm not saying an unfair contract, I'm saying why are we not coming to an amicable decision as a district with so much talent in the administration, in the staff? What is taking us so long? We are all residents. As residents, we are all puzzled, but at the same time, every morning at drop-off, we are sad because they don't say anything. They just stand quietly with signs that says that caring and that without a contract, it just breaks our heart. So every single person that is looking at it and thinking about it is wondering what is going on. I hope we can come to a solution really quick. The other question, not really a question, the other little spiel that I had to give was about the referendum, and I have been very publicly, vocally against it. And I wanted to take the time today to say that I am sad that I am not voting for this referendum, but I am not guilty. And the reason I don't feel guilty for not voting for this referendum is because we should have brought this referendum out a few years ago. The problem in middle school did not happen overnight. We knew it was going to happen, yet we did not consider bringing out a referendum 3-4 years ago. And now that we are finally bringing out a referendum, we are putting all our eggs in one basket. We are only addressing the middle school while at the same time putting trailers in the middle school. I know that the statistics of the history of the biggest amount referendum that have passed is about $80 million. We are bringing out a referendum for $68 million for one school. Why could we not have pushed the envelope? Why don't we have numbers on what it would cost for the extension of the high school? Either break that project into 2 phases and add one part into this referendum, or just break the new middle school into few. There were so many creative ways of doing this, and the Student Growth Advisory Committee that deliberated on all the 3 schools. Elementary, Applegarth is a big problem. It is being told in presentations that everything is in control. It is not in control. High school creative scheduling, high school lunches are starting so early in the day. We are not offering some classes because we don't have the space. There is problem at every level, but when we make these presentations for the referendum, we only highlight middle school. We only talk about how the students are bumping into each other in middle school. In a year or 2, we'll be putting trailers in the high school because we ignored that in the first referendum, and the residents did not vote for the second referendum within 1 year, because I don't see any statistics of any town voting for 2 referendums within 1 year. So as a resident who has been involved in the overcrowding problem and process for the past 5 years, I feel that we did a disservice by coming up with this referendum. I don't understand how this happened, but this has happened. The only logic I could see was that the town offered us a piece of land, but that land is really not ours, not the town's right now, because they're taking it by eminent domain, and the court hearing has been postponed till March 22nd. The referendum is on the ballot for March 13. So if this referendum passes and something goes wrong in that court hearing, we really don't have a piece of land for which we designed this whole plan. So I felt cheated as a resident that we did not do the due diligence to all the 3 schools and come up with a plan where, when the public questions during presentations, we are not told that it is too late to change this referendum. Why did we come up with a plan for which you have to justify by saying it's too late to change this?
Okay, thank you very much for your comments.
I'm just about to conclude. I will vote no, and I know there are a lot of residents in town who don't come and speak like me, but are voting no, and I'm hoping this board will take it back to the drawing board if it does not pass, and include other schools when they come up with a new referendum in November 2018. Thank you for your time.
And I will say this again, there is no lawsuit. The land is owned by the township. The only thing in dispute is the price of the land. There is no lawsuit. The former owners have agreed in the eminent, we're not going to have a debate. The former owners have agreed to the eminent domain process. Their money is put into a fund, a state fund, and to say that there is a lawsuit, you said they're in the courts. They're not. It is not in the courts. Thank you. It is not in the courts. I've explained it many times. So the letter is on the district website, so please go to the district website.
Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. I want to, I guess, piggyback on what Ms. Bora was saying. I did attend the council meeting, the recent council meeting, and when I asked questions, they said that they could not answer because it is in the courts right now. And the letter is dated December 29th regarding Monroe Township versus Lewis Properties. It is in the courts. There is a court case right now.
Corey Masters, and I'm Michaela Court. Okay, so my question is going to be about the referendum. So as many, you should all know, if not, we're going to have voting there on March 13th at Oak Tree. As we know, the voting and the cafeteria are one room, which is divided by an accordion wall. So my concern is obviously going to be, I know there's going to be extra security, blah, blah, but my thought is that if maybe one of the board members could make a motion to make that a half day, we wouldn't have to have the 700 children come down to the lunchroom during that time to have lunch. It would keep them out of the hallway where the voting will be going on. Because the only thing dividing the voters from the children who are in the lunchroom, which would be all 700 given throughout the day, is an accordion wall. So even the extra security, people vote, the pollsters or whoever's there will still have to go up the ramp to use the bathroom. And as I've stated many times, I have seen gentlemen, elderly gentlemen who are working the polls or whatever, come out of the children's bathroom more than once, and I've had to go to the office and say, there's another man in the bathroom, even though the faculty bathroom is directly next to the boys' room. So I think by maybe making a half a day, this will avoid some of these problems. So I would just suggest, or for the board to consider making that a half day. You still have time, that it would still be a regular school day, it would count for a full day of school. Those are my 2 cents on that. My second thing is, as far as, and I'm guessing this is more for Dr. Albert, can you tell me what the amount is per pupil for the STEM tag program at the middle school? Like how much we spend per student?
I don't have that information tonight.
Okay. I'm only saying this because right now, my son is doing a project. He's building a skee ball machine. So he told me he needed cardboard to build a skee ball machine. So luckily with my husband's, aversion to Amazon, I had plenty of boxes. So I went, I dropped all the boxes off to him so he would have them for that day. He came out, I picked him up, I said, how was it? He says, I couldn't work on it. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I don't have tape and scissors. I said, you need tape and scissors? He said, yes, I need tape and scissors to start. I said, okay. So I went to the store and I got masking tape and I got scissors from my drawer and I labeled them. And then I will say, I drew, because obviously to cut cardboard, we can't use safety scissors, so they're adult scissors. But I drove them to school and I dropped them off to security because I didn't want him to get caught with them in his bag and have someone take them and blah, blah, blah. So I just feel like there should be some kind of budget that should at least cover masking tape and scissors. Because now at some point, I'm sure I'm going to have to buy skee balls for the skee ball machine, which is fine. I don't mind putting money out. But where my child came from Applegarth last year, where he was designing a robot, to now I have to provide masking tape and scissors, it's just, I don't think it's fair.
That's the question you're asking. I misunderstood the question. Yes, there is a budget, and the teachers should be submitting that, and we can take care of that.
Well, I mean, it's important. I don't care. I'm just saying for future, like, I just think there's some money should be given to the TAG program, so that's.
There is a line item in each of the schools' budget for TAG.
Okay, but you don't know how much it is?
Not off the top of my head.
That's fine. I'm not gonna. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Angela Barodi, 9 Angelina Court. I know that the mayor had made that announcement, but I'm sure that there was previous conversation about it with you, Mrs. President. And I just wanted to ask some clarifying questions with the children here earlier. It was a little hard to really hear what he was saying. So I want to clarify that it's only going to be one armed officer at each of the schools?
Yes.
And that will be temporary?
It will be temporary until the Board of Education has the opportunity to revisit our policies, get them in place, and have our own employees trained.
And what does that training mean? Does that mean that we're going to be training our current security guards or retired police officers that are security guards here to be armed as well? Or we're just going to say, temporarily we're giving you armed guards, armed police officers or armed security guards, but we're going to take that away once we feel that our staff is unarmed but well-equipped?
Well, I believe our policies are going to be looking to arm our own security people so that we can put our people armed in place and get rid of or not get rid of, but we no longer have the need to have the township police guard or guard our schools.
Okay, and another clarifying question would be, so these armed professionals that are going to be in the school, are they going to be in the school from open to close, meaning zero period all the way until after Falcon Care closes?
I think we still have to talk with them about what their schedule is. All I know at this point is that between me and the mayor and the Chief Lloyd, that they will have school security, armed guards in every school while the school is open. And while the school day is going on. So I think we really have to work with them to see what their timing is, because they will be using off-duty officers to work overtime.
I just want us to all remember that they do have Falcon Care in the morning and Falcon Care in the afternoon, and children are there early and late, and to have just the school when most of the children are there doesn't really help the children that are going to be there when something could happen in the early or evening hours. I just wanted to remind the board, and maybe some of you are not aware, that there was a serious issue for the last 2 years with an elementary school child that currently has an aide, and I'm not going to name names. My child had issues with him that I even brought to Dr. Kozak's attention, and unfortunately it didn't really go anywhere with him, but thankfully the principals were able to handle it. So with all due respect, I'm still on the fence about you staying or going. However, I'm still very concerned that this child has an aide and has been able to evade the aide and still harm other children by pushing them down or pushing them up against walls, and nothing is still being done about it. This is a huge bell from someone that is not only a healthcare professional, but also runs the largest mobile crisis unit and community mental health unit in the country in Manhattan. And it is a huge concern for me because this child shows all of the classic symptoms, but yet he has this one aide that he may or may not have when he goes into the middle school, and we know he's a huge problem. And I just don't see that anything's being done because we're still hearing that he's continuing to have issues. He's continuing to do things even with an aide present. And I just want you to be aware that you're going to start having lawsuits, and you're going to start having children leaving the school district because of your inability to handle these issues. And my final comment that I want to make is I've only been in the school district for 2 years. My family and I moved here 2 years ago because of the school district and because of all of the opportunities that Monroe had to offer, and I will finish up in just 1 minute. But being here tonight has shown me that there is a significant amount of dysfunction amongst our board members that is apparent by several scowls on your face, and it is really alarming and concerning. Thank you.
I would like to respond just to one section. As you are well aware, I can't speak about a specific student. I can tell you that I'm on the phone, including today, with the principal of the school. There has been numerous follow-up conversations between the principal and myself regarding your concerns. And I would welcome a conference if you would like. You know, if you want to contact me, we can sit down with the principal, myself. I certainly would listen to your concerns, but there has been continual follow-up, and I want to make sure that you are comfortable. So if you decide you would like to do that, I would suggest that you, all you need to do is contact me, phone, email, however you would like, or contact the principal, and we can set that up at your convenience. Thank you.
Would you be willing to do that with the other half a dozen family members that also have an issue with the child?
Yeah, I would say, why don't you call and let's discuss that rather than trying to make a decision in this forum. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public forum and go to the closed session resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21, to discuss the following subjects: harassment, intimidation, and bullying, personnel matter, level 3 grievance, superintendent contract, and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege with respect to this subject, negotiations with the MTEA. Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I need a motion and Mr. Chiarella. Ms. Carino. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then at this time, we will adjourn into closed session. I'm not sure how long this is going to last. So at this time, the board will move back into public session, and I have a resolution. It is recommended that the Board of Education hereby denies the Level 3 grievance regarding employee number 0500 dated December 1st, 2017. The superintendent of schools and the board's business administrator board secretary are authorized to take all necessary steps to implement this action of the Board of Education.
So moved. Second.
Mr.
She's first.
Who's first?
Ken and Michelle.
Either way.
Okay, motion by Mr. Chiarella,
Oh.
second by Michelle Arminio. Okay, any comments or questions?
No.
We'll have a roll call. Ms. Arminio?
Yes.
Mr. Braverman is absent. Mr. Chiarella?
Yes.
Ms. DeMayo?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Dawn is not here. Steve is not here. Frank is not here. Mr. Rutsky?
Yes.
And Kathy Kolopanowicz is yes.
Madam
And-
Board President, the resolution passes.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Arminio.
Well done, Michelle.
So we'll go back to here, and is there any other business? We don't have anybody in the public, so there's no public forum. So the next scheduled Board of Education meeting is March 15th, Thursday, March 15th, 2018, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Monroe Township High School.
No,
it moved to
February
March
22nd. March 22nd.
Yes,
It moved to
It
March
was moved on
22nd.
After
Okay,
the budget.
Because of the
this is
delay
still
in the
on my
budget.
agenda. I apologize.
That's right, nobody's watching now.
The next Board of Education is Thursday, March 22nd, 2018, 7 o'clock p.m. at the Monroe Township High School. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, C. Michelle Arminio. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then the meeting is adjourned at 11:56.
Mike left our things. He left without our things, and he didn't take your cap.